What's up, everybody? It's Michael here, back with another deck profile for our Campus Championship. So for the Campus Championship this week, we were doing Ultra Rares from Yu Yu Hakusho. So we each picked 2 Ultra Rares, and then afterwards we found out that it was going to be for a tournament. So I picked Prism, Torment. It's my favorite Ultra Rare, just like in general from the set. I think the artwork is beautiful, and I think a lot of the characters can use it like really well. And the character I was using it with was Taisei 1. And his buddy 2. So yeah, we were pairing the 3 amigos together. I had a lot of fun making this deck, just like brewing like random ideas, along with the help of James, because James is a Taisei player. And just a couple of my matches were actually pretty fun. Yeah, let's just get into it. So yeah, guys, like I said, we're playing Taisei. So we're playing one copy of Taisei 2. He just says that we don't get to die, so we're not just a 2-hander with 8 life. We're a 5-hander with 8 life instead. And then response, before we would be reduced to 0 or less, we can remove one of our copies of the 1 to continue to live, and then hopefully get to the next turn to try and finish off our opponent with that last bit of damage. So we're playing 1 2, and then we're playing 4 1 here. The 1's really nice. He gives gauge 1, and then makes your next gauge more progressive, and then the 2 plus 1 damage to your gauge attack for each of your removed from play Taiseis. So sometimes you can give plus 4 damage. Yeah. So we're playing the 5 characters. And we're playing 2 Omega Shield or Omega Sword and Elk Shield. It's a 1/6 asset with a 1 mid block. When we block with this, we only take 1 damage. Super nice. And then twice per turn, I can flip a foundation to make my opponent, make both of us commit a face-up foundation, and then I can block with this in my staging area. I think this is absolutely needed in any Taisei deck, especially because it shares 2 symbols with him. Played 2 Demon Realm Awakening just for the throw hate, and then for the block draw, which is really nice, and it's a 1 mid block as well. And then Enhance Remove, I can give +1 or -1 damage for each of an attack's keyword, and then I get to draw a card. Super nice. This card just has a lot of utility. It's really good. Then we're playing 2 Stop, just because our characters staying alive is super important, and us being a 8-hander is so important. So we just need to make sure we turn off those offensive characters, so we don't just get blown out of the water. So that's it for the characters, assets, and actions. Onto the attacks. Like I said earlier, my ultra rare was Prism Storm of Torment. Its allied deadlock stun 7, gauge 7 range. It's a 7/3, 7 high for 7 with a 1 low block. If it's the 7th card I've played this turn, I get +7 speed, and then Enhance, I take all the characters in my discard pile, and I put them under my character. So the point of my deck is to try and get these in the discard pile as fast as possible, and then just use this to build it, so I don't have to rely on the gauge keyword itself. Playing 4 Dust to Dust. Against every single character except for Torn. This ignores progressive difficulty, which is super insane, so we just play these on 6s. But it's got gauge 5, it's a 4 mid for 5. Enhance, I can search my deck for a gauge attack, add it to my hand, and my opponent can commit and freeze a foundation to cancel this effect. So we play it way late in the chain where our opponent's committed out, and then we just dust to dust, dust to dust, dust to dust. Oh, I've played 6 attacks total. Okay, I'll search a 7th Prism. As my 7th card, I'll play 7th Prism. Super sweet. It's a really good idea that I want to mess around with. Playing 4 Ashen Claws. I really love this attack. It's got a great high block. It's got 2 really good effects. It's got gauge. I think this attack does a lot for Taisei, and I think it's just great in general. It's a 4/3/3 high for 4. Like I said, 0 high block. We can freeze one of our opponent's committed foundations, and then Deadlock Enhance in the card pool. I can remove this to add, gauge attack to our hand, and then it ignores progressive. This card just says my opponent can never build into Deadlock, because we just get to search for Dust to Dust. Playing 4 Lightning Shot. I actually super love this in this deck because, like I said, we're trying to mill a bunch of characters, and we already start at 2 characters, so this card gets stun 2, or maybe stun 3 sometimes. And then plus it's got the good ready hate, like if our opponent tries to use... If our opponent tries to use a Sense of Morals, we can flip it with this card. It's a 4-mana for 4 with gauge 3. Yeah, they get stun X equal to the number of characters that we have built or in our discard pile, and it's got a great high block. Then I'm playing 3 Lightning Torture. It's a no block, but it's a gauge 4 throw that always triggers, just because we get to start with 2 characters. It gets plus 3 damage. We have 2 more characters in our discard pile or in our staging area, which is really nice. The only thing that is unfortunate about this card is since it's a throw, we can't use Taisei 1-Dot's effect to give it gauge 1. And I'm playing 1 Crusader's Oath. I decided to max out on Lightning Shots instead of playing this. Plus, Lightning Shot has the same block, and it's 1 cheaper, and it gets the same stun rating, and it has basically the same gauge rating. I think Lightning Shot is just a better form of Crusader's Oath, but I wanted multiple copies of stun cards just so I could try and freeze my opponent out with the Ashen Claws, and since I want to commit my opponent out so I can play the Dust to Dust, so this helps with that. But it's a gauge 5 enhanced discard a card. We're an 8-hander, so it's not a problem. I can give my attack stun 2 and -2 to my gauge rating, which is super nice. So it's got EX2, gauge 3, and then it has stun 2. On to the foundations. Playing 3 Bearer of the Makai Whistle. It's a 0/6 enhance remove. Add 1 card in our opponent's remove from play zone to put on top of their deck, so we can anti-confirm their check, and then enhance flip -2 to the gauge rating of an attack, and then we can send a character from our discard pile, or from our deck to our discard pile. It's super good with the Prism, just to like, oh, my Prism has gauge 5 now, and then I'll dump a character, I'll use Prism to build it. Super nice. I really like this foundation. Playing 3 Ageless and Wise. I don't want anybody to blow up my foundations just because sometimes I already have a hard time building it. Just because since I see 8 cards, it doesn't mean I see 5 foundations. This is a 2 low block R flip. After opponent plays an ability to try and blow up one of our foundations, we cancel it. Stops a lot of good cards, and like it stops Torment Brothers too, which is going to be relevant in the meta. This card was already really good. It only gets better now that Torment Brothers is like a thing that's just running wild. Playing 3 Fei Fei because we need to block stuff. That's just the thing that needs to happen. So enhance flip -3 speed. Sweet and simple. Playing 3 Manifestation. We don't have a way to commit this to make our opponent commit one, but it's just anti-commit hate for us. Just says our opponent can't really stun us because we'll commit them. Plus we're already playing cards in our deck that commit our opponent, so this just helps make our opponent not commit us, and then we'll just commit them. Then, like I said, I don't want you to touch my staging area, so we're playing 3 Pursuing a Vendetta. When our opponent plays an effect to get rid of one in our staging area, after it resolves, we can flip this to build one from our discard pile into our staging area. And then this card can't leave my staging area due to my opponent's card effects, so it's a nice card. And then it just says we can pick up literally any foundation and play it. We're playing 1 Retreated to Arctica. It's a no block, and the fact that it relies on 3 keywords makes it dead sometimes. But Enhance Destroy, if the attack has 3 or more keywords, it does 0 damage after the block step. Super good. We're playing 2 Crimson Sparrow. Another thing I like about this deck is since I'm playing so much stun, like usually anti-stun hate cards are like good against my deck, but thanks to Crimson Sparrow, and then thanks to Lightning Shot's response, after our opponent readies a foundation, we can flip them. This one says... oh, actually, this one's different. Sorry, I was thinking of the wrong card. This one says if we deal damage while it's in our card pool, we can ready one. So we can play this to start off our turn, and then play a couple attacks so that we don't have to commit out as much. Then it's enhanced discard a card for -2 speed or +1 speed. I like this card at a 2 of. I thought it was really fine. Play 2 Sealer of Evil, just because our opponent wants to try and get in early on us, because we're playing Taisei, so we have 2 life. So this just says -3 damage in the early game, because we don't build 6 on our first turn. All the games I have played, I never built 6 on my first turn. I was usually checking like a lot of attacks, so I was kind of thinking of cutting a couple attacks out of this list. Playing 3 Nightmare Tears. It's just a great block for low. It's a 3 low, and it's always a 3 low because of its static. When we block with it, it reduces the speed to 0. And then enhance flip on my turn, my opponent commits and freezes one of their foundations, which is super nice. Like I said, we want to try and commit our opponent out and freeze them out. I found this card, and I actually really liked it, especially because it helps cover our low block zones. 3 World Without Battle. It's a 2/5 with a 2 low block enhance flip. This attack with a keyword ability gets +2 or -3 speed, which is super nice. Desperation Enhance never comes up because we're playing Taisei, but if there's a face down card in my card pool, I can draw a card. But it gets -3 speed, and like a bunch of stuff has keyword rating, and then +2 speed. Like all of our attacks have gauge, so I can give any of my attacks +2 speed by flipping this, which is super nice. I actually really liked that card, and I thought it was clutch. Playing 3 $500 sunglasses, it just helps cover the great block zones that we need since we're playing Taisei. The Elk Shield, the Nightmare Tears, and then this, like they all are great blocks for us. When we block this with this card, we only take 1. Doesn't matter if we block a high throw or if we block a mid attack. And then our commit, after opponent plays a enhance ability, we can commit this to commit 1 card in their staging area, which is super nice. The point of the order build for Taisei is to just commit your opponent out, stun them out, and then swing in for massive damage. So to help us with that, we're playing 3 Suspicious Mr. X. RIP, because this card will leave shortly one day, but it's a 2/4 no block that says enhance commit. We commit 1 card in our opponent's staging area, not a foundation, so we can hit assets or characters with this, but we commit 1 equal to the number of characters that we have built. So like against Remy's and Selinka's, we have an easy time committing their character. Otherwise, then we can just, like, if we're playing against a Shanghua, we can commit a Kuriryuga or anybody of that symbol. It's super nice, and we just commit problem foundations, and then we play Ashen Claws to freeze them. Super nice. I loved that interaction. Playing 3 Prism of 7. So this card says enhance our charge or gauge attack with +1 speed. Literally all of our attacks are gauge, and a good portion of them are charges as well. So it just makes them harder to block. And then this card actually has super good relevant text on the other side. Enhance remove, add a character card from our remove from play pile to our hand or to our momentum. So what this says is after our opponent knocks us to a 5-hander, we can remove this to add the 0 mid block to our hand, block with a 0 mid block, and then we can build in another life because all of our attacks have gauge. So in all reality, we have 7 lives in our deck, and that's not including like any other random means. But yeah, I actually really like this card in this deck. And then I thought this was the actual MVP of the Foundation base. I would not change the number at all. I think this card is super good. 4 leader of the Sanity Beast. It's a 3/5 2 high block. It's got 2 different effects. Form Destroy, we reveal the top 5 cards of our deck, and we add a gauge attack or a character to our hand, and we discard the rest, which is super good. 88 miles an hour, just rotated out, and this is a good replacement for it at least. It's a good step at least. And then its other effect is so good, and it's the best momentum out in our deck. Our discarded momentum, after our opponent readies one of their foundations, we shuffle back into their deck just by discarding momentum. So not only are we super pesky by flipping our opponent's foundations if they ready them after we stun them, but we punish them even harder by just shuffling them back in their deck. So this card just debuilds our opponent, and it adds an attack to our hand. And it maybe gets us a character in our discard pile too. Yeah, that was the deck. So yeah guys, that was my Taisei deck profile with the feature card being Prism of Torment. I was playing this deck under order. I had a really good time, like I said, building and making this deck in general. Just bouncing ideas off of people and seeing super cool interactions. I had a little bit of an unlucky tournament experience, but other than that, I actually super did enjoy this deck, and it makes me want to play it just a little bit more. Obviously, it's super risky because you're playing a character with 2 life, and then you turn into a character with 8 life. But yeah, if you guys want to take the gamble and try something a little bit out like this yourself, go ahead and try it. Yeah, I thought this deck was super fun. It's just something I had never really played before. Yeah, if you guys like the content, you can check out the rest of our tournament series here on YouTube or at Patreon at the $1+ level. You can get access to all our content a week early. Yeah, you can check us out at Facebook or at Twitch. mess around on our Sunday fun days. We stream board games, card games in general. We like to interact with the community, stuff like that. Yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. Stay alert.